Breaking news just coming in. We've got the breaking news coming in from Rajasthan, where the Saffron Group has protests going on against the Gehlot government. It's a blowback of the Alwar temple demolition. A 300-year-old Shiva temple was demolished using bulldozers at Sarai Mohalla at Rajgarh in Alwar district last week. Besides the Shiva temple, 86 shops and homes were demolished with the bulldozers in Rajasthan's Alwar district on Sunday to clear the way for a road. The Bharatiya Janata Party had constituted a 5-member committee to probe the demolition of 300-year-old Shiva temple in Rajasthan. The temple was demolished in Sarai Mohalla in the Alwar district of Rajasthan. The BJP said that shedding tears in Karoli and Jahangirpuri and hurting the faith of Hindus, this is the secularism of the Congress party. Let's get Devankar for more on this story. We'll get Devankar in just about a bit. But visuals coming in right there, you can see heavy barricading, heavy security, police deployment as well, as the Saffron Brigade is protesting against the Gehlot government in Rajasthan. In fact, if we can get the volume up, listen into the protests that are going on. You can see the Saffron Brigade chanting Jai Shri Ram and protesting right there in the streets. This is a protest that is breaking out against the Ashok Gehlot government in Rajasthan. It's a blowback of the Alwar temple demolition. To give you a backgrounder, there was a 300-year-old Shiva temple, and that was demolished using bulldozers at Sarai Mohalla, Rajgarh in the Alwar district. This happened last week. And besides the temple, 86 shops and homes were also demolished with bulldozers in Rajasthan's Alwar district on Sunday to clear the way for a road. Devankar Vadhavan is now joining us. Dev, the politics aside, what was the reasoning given for the demolition of the temple, the homes and the shops? And was there enough notice that had been given before this particular demolition as well? Was the due process followed?
Well, Cheti, the district administration maintains that Gaurav, but the widening of roads had to happen out there, and that is why this entire demolition drive was carried out. But they also maintain that the proposal for the demolition was passed by the board, the Nagar Palika board of Rajgarh, where the majority is that of the BJP. The board chairman was also that from the BJP. But the BJP accuses the Congress, maintains that the local MLA is from the Congress, and the drive that was carried out as per the BJP was at the behest of the local MLA. So there are a lot of allegations and counter accusations that have been flying thick and fast over the last 6-7 days as far as the demolition of the temples are concerned. But what the state government has done is that it has suspended not just the board's chairman, but also the STO and the EO who were allegedly on the ground when the demolition drive was carried out. A committee has also been formed to look into the matter of demolition of houses, because several people claim that they had papers, the valid documents for their properties, but yet the demolition drive was carried out, in which not only 3 temples were demolished, but also scores of houses and shops were also demolished. Cheti?
At the moment, what is the reaction that you're picking up from these protesters as they are protesting against the Gehlot government, and any kind of a word coming in from the Gehlot government on the back of this particular blowback that they're receiving?
Well, the Gehlot government has been maintaining that the protests that had been happening in the past were being planned at the behest of the BJP. They claimed that it is the BJP's board, the majority is that of the BJP, and the entire demolition that was carried out after the proposal to carry out the demolition was ratified by the Nagar Palika board. Our Jitendra Singh, who is a senior Congress leader, former Union Minister, and Tikaram Juli had visited the ground in Alwar where the protests were carried out. A lot of sloganeering was happening against both the BJP and the Congress leaders, and there is a lot of resentment on the ground as far as people are concerned, and they have been demanding that not only the temples be reconstructed, but also that they be compensated for the losses that they have incurred due to the demolition of their shops and houses. In fact, on the ground, there have been, over the last 2-3 days, a lot of protests which have happened. In fact, a candle march was also carried out during the course of the night. Out there, and the
Protesters respond. How do the protesters respond to the Gehlot government saying that the BJP's, the Palika, which has got the BJP majority, is the one that approved the demolition, and you have the Vishwa Hindu Parishad protesting at the moment against the Gehlot government? How do they respond to how the Gehlot government is justifying the raising of the temple?
Well, the BJP claims that this is a conspiracy by the Gehlot government. It has maintained that the Gehlot government has been indulging in minority appeasement, and it has been saying that what happened in Karoli, after that, this particular incident once again shows that the Congress government led by Ashok Gehlot in Rajasthan is an anti-majority government, and that it has been indulging in minority appeasement through these demolitions. It has also maintained that when it was questioned about the demolition of temples in Rajasthan state capital Jaipur in 2015, when Vasundhara Raje was the chief minister, it maintains that there is a difference between shifting a temple from one place to another and demolition of temples. It has been trying to make this distinction between the two, claiming that idols were shifted from the temples to elsewhere in 2015, but no such thing was done when the demolition was happening in Alwar. It maintains that even the idols were crushed or were found in sewerages when this demolition was carried out in Alwar. So a lot of back and forth, a lot of politics happening over the demolition of temples.
Dave, you have Mr. Amit Malviya who's alleged that on 18th of April, without issuing any notice, the administration ran bulldozers over the pakka houses and shops of 85 Hindus in Rajgarh town of Rajasthan. Was there a notice issued?
So clearly, on the ground, one can sense that the SDO and the local EO were the ones at whose behest the entire drive was carried out, the entire demolition drive that was there, in which three temples, in fact, one of those three temples is said to be more than 300 years old. And several people that I spoke with in Alwar's Rajgarh mentioned to me that there have been 7 to 8 generations who have seen this temple, and that temple was demolished. There was the idol of Lord Shiva which was placed inside that temple, and that is why there have been a lot of resentment. And several people also maintained that no proper notice was given to them of demolition, that their houses were demolished despite them having legal papers, and that is why the BJP has clearly latched upon this as a major political issue before the assembly elections next year. Remember, assembly elections are to be held in Rajasthan in 2023, and before that, the Congress, which has been grappling with infighting.
Hi there. Gaurav Bhatia is now joining us of the Bharatiya Janata Party on the phone line. Gaurav, your colleague, Mr. Amit Malviya, has also said that these houses and shops of 85 Hindus in Rajgarh town of Rajasthan were demolished without issuing any notice. Was there any kind of notice issued before this particular demolition?
First of all, the larger point is the kind of discrimination that goes on in Rajasthan on the basis of religion. And let me cite an example. The hatred that the Congress party has towards the Hindu community is evident that 300-year-old temple is demolished, and not even an opportunity is given in terms of a notice. And on the other side, we all know when the Hindu Navvar celebrations were on, stones were pelted, and the main accused from Karoli is missing. He has not been arrested in spite of 25-day period being passed, and even another accused is called to an iftar party hosted by Ashok Gehlot. So it makes it very evident that in Rajasthan, Hindus are given, discriminating treatment, and they are treated as second-rate citizens, and that is why this protest, and this ought to be stopped in a democracy like ours.
understand your larger point, and that point has been taken. My question here is on the technicality of this particular demolition as well. As alleged by the BJP, there was no notice issued before this particular demolition. What do you have to say about that? Because the Gehlot government says that this was approved by the Palika, which has got BJP in majority.
Now, first of all, again, it's a sheer pack of lies by Ashok Gehlot. As you rightly saying, the media is also reporting that no notice was served. Second, the road widening excuse that is being taken. Let me put it on record that when Gaurav Path, the government project road, was constructed, the width of it was 45 feet. And this temple also was located at a place where the width of the road was even more than that. And third and most importantly, the power to amend a master plan rests with the state government. Why couldn't, respecting the beliefs of the Hindus, Ashok Gehlot government intervene and correct it? They wouldn't, because they are more, interested in appeasing the Muslims of the state, and they don't care about the Hindus.
All right, Gaurav Bhatia, continue to be with us. Satish Punia of the Bharatiya Janata Party is also joining us, of the Rajasthan BJP. Mr. Punia, are you, of course, in agreement with what Gaurav Bhatia has said and what Mr. Amit Malviya has tweeted as well about there being no notice given before this particular demolition of 85 houses and the Pakka houses and shops of 85 Hindus. But the Gehlot government is going on to say that the BJP has approved this. How do you respond?
देखिए, दो पक्ष हैं जो अभी गौरव ने बताया ही है कि इसमें 2013 में गौरव पथ मंजूर हुआ था और किसी प्रोटेस्ट के कारण वो रुक गया था और बोर्ड ने जो रेजोल्यूशन था उसमें था गौरव पथ पूरा करें। उसमें मकान को तोड़ना, मंदिर को डेमोलिश करना, ये डिमांड कहीं नहीं थी, मैं बोर्ड के रेजोल्यूशन में थी। वहाँ के जो एमएलए हैं जोरीलाल मीणा, उसका वीडियो पब्लिक डोमेन में है जो साफ कह रहा है कि बीजेपी के सारे कॉर्पोरेटर्स को मेरे पास लेके आओ। दूसरा, उसने टाउन के लोगों को ये कहा कि मेरे पुत्र के खिलाफ जो गैंगरेप का मामला है उस पर आप मेमोरेंडम देने क्यों गए। तो कुल मिलाकर इंटेंशनली इस समय अशोक गहलोत जो एमएलए हैं पार्टी के भीतर वो माइनॉरिटी में है, उसको अपीज करने के लिए उन्होंने एमएलए के प्रेशर में जो लीगल इलीगल जो काम कहते हैं उसके दबाव में होता है। तो ये पूरा मंदिर को तोड़ना, 300 साल पुराना मंदिर।
सवाल ये है मिस्टर पूनिया कि जो म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन ने जिस चीज के लिए क्लियरेंस दिया था वो किस चीज के लिए क्लियरेंस दिया हुआ था? आप कह रहे हैं कि इस चीज के लिए नहीं दिया था।
वो क्लियरेंस नहीं थी, वो सिर्फ ये डिमांड थी कि जो गौरव पथ है उसको बनाया जाए। उसमें कहीं मेंशन नहीं है और उस मीटिंग में खुद एमएलए भी मौजूद था। उसमें सिर्फ ये कहा गया था कि गौरव पथ को पूरा किया जाए और उसमें भी मास्टर प्लान की जो कंडीशन थी 60 फीट की, उसमें भी रिलैक्स किया हुआ था मास्टर प्लान ने भी कि उसको 30 फीट किया जा सकता है। पर बजाय किसी तरीके के एक्सरसाइज के, बजाय किसी सेटलमेंट के, सीधे सीधे और उसको एनक्रोचमेंट मान के उसको डेमोलिश करना और डेमोलिश।
क्योंकि गेहलोत गवर्नमेंट का कहना है कि आज बीजेपी झूठ पे झूठ बोले जा रही है। ये एलिगेशन है कि जो राजगढ़ अर्बन बॉडीज बोर्ड के जो चेयरमैन है, जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी के मेंबर है, उन्होंने प्रपोज किया था कि ये टेम्पल एंड हाउसेस को ब्रिंग डाउन करे।
ये कहीं नहीं है, मेरे हाथ में डॉक्यूमेंट है, ये किसी भी डॉक्यूमेंट में नहीं है। वो जो रेजोल्यूशन है, मैं जो कह रहा हूँ कि उसको गौरव पथ बनाने के लिए था। ये जो चेयरमैन के कहने से भी कभी एनक्रोचमेंट हटता नहीं है। उसके लिए जो डायरेक्ट लोकल बॉडीज हैं, यहाँ का जो यूडीएस डिपार्टमेंट है वो इंस्ट्रक्ट करता है जी। वो सीधे सीधे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के इंस्ट्रक्शन पे इतनी बड़ी कार्रवाई होती है। अब अफसरों पे कार्रवाई की, इससे प्रूव हो गया कि सरकार ने गलत किया है। छोटे ने किया या बड़े ने किया है, लेकिन ये प्रूव है कि वो विधायक के सारे विरोधी।
All right, Mr. Satish Punia, Gaurav Bhatia, thank you so much for joining us. I'm compelled to take a very short commercial break on these visuals that are coming in. This remains to be our top focus. Stay with us. I'm joining you with the top headlines in just